Hayley Staveley.
Rosanna Waterland.
Have you been hearing the word Hantavirus? Is it Hunter?
Yeah. Well, I feel like people say Hunter, but then it's spelled Hanta.
And we're Australian, so do we say Fanta? No, we say Fanta. And
Don't you say Fanta?
It's spelled like Fanta.
Yeah.
So maybe it's Hantavirus. Hantavirus.
Hunter, yeah.
Okay.
Look, we know what we're both talking about.
Hantavirus has been all around everywhere this week because there is this Dutch cruise ship called the MV Hondius sitting off the coast of the Canary Islands right now. There's 3 people dead. More people are sick. The body of a German woman is still on board the ship. There's panicking governments around the world trying to track people down. Flying in citizens, including some Australians, have been brought back home. Also, this hantavirus thing is actually the virus that killed Gene Hackman's wife last year. So, I just thought, I keep hearing it's the next COVID. We're going to go into lockdown. This is going to spread, blah, blah, blah. And I just keep seeing all these snippets of headlines and I've not really been across it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a mini. I'm going to do the job. I'm going to give you just the gist of what's going on with this hantavirus outbreak. So,
do you know how lucky you are that you can monetize your random spirals down random rabbit holes?
Oh, I hyperfixate on a thing and I'm like, well, that's
I just do that
this
for
is the
free.
episode.
And share that knowledge with nobody.
I did before this. It's not
right.
I'm getting just above free now, let me tell you. Just above. All right.
Also, wait, so Gene Hackman's, I thought they didn't know what killed them.
No, they do. We will get into it.
Okay, all right. I'm ready.
Just the gist.
Gist me.
Of what the hell is going on with this hantavirus outbreak. Welcome to Just the Gist. I'm your host, Rosie Waterland. These episodes drop every Wednesday and our regular length JTG episodes drop every Thursday. You can also listen to bonus content if you join the Bisna Club? The Gisna Club. You can join the Gisna Club via Patreon or Apple Premium subscriptions and help support the show. Joining me today is JTG producer Hayley Staveley. Hello.
Hello.
You were just telling me that you were at a hospital the other day and you were asking all the doctors about hantavirus and they were like,
Yeah, they were like, it's very interesting that it's, now it's being transmitted human to human, which we haven't seen before. And that's like,
we have seen that before though.
Well, they were saying that we haven't.
See, I feel like these doctors, I don't know, mate. I feel like they're empathy starved. Like, people are dying and they're like, this is interesting science, nerdy freaks.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. People are dying, Cam. People are dying. All right, I'm going to give you a rundown of what the hell is going on with this thing because I kept getting so confused by all the headlines and, some doctors being like, I don't know, we haven't seen it before, and others being like, we're all going to die. So
Just me.
The most trustworthy news source you have is me, Rosie Waterland.
Yes, and that is why I'm so successful at life.
So here is a rundown of what the dealio is with this thing. First things first, what even is the hantavirus? Because it's everywhere and we need to know.
Yes.
It was first formally identified in 1978 and it is a kind of flu-like virus.
They always are.
Yeah, it's mostly carried by rodents, so mice and rats, that kind of thing. You don't catch it from being bitten by them though. It's more from breathing in particles of their wee or their poop or their saliva or their blood. Lovely.
Ew.
So usually it's like mice poo or rat poo or poop or wee or whatever gets left in a place and maybe it gets dusty and then it kind of sits there for a while, gets part of the dust particles, and then you might go down into a basement that's been closed up for ages and you stir up the dust and you breathe it in. So that's kind of how people catch it and get sick. There are 50 different types of hantavirus around the world, there's lots of different strains of flu. So there's lots of the, common flu or whatever, but there's lots
A, B, blah,
et cetera.
blah, yeah,
et cetera. And so there's lots of different strains of hantavirus, but the important sort of bit of information about that is most of them cannot be passed between humans. So the human will catch it from the rodent, and then that's the end of the chain. That's why outbreaks of this virus are normally very small. But there is one strain of hantavirus called the Andes strain, and that is mostly found in Argentina and Chile, and that is a strain that can spread between humans.
Between people named Andy.
Yes, only.
Yes.
So hantavirus is actually pretty hardcore because for a lot of people it will just be a bad flu. Like you will, bad headaches, muscle aches, fever, sometimes vomiting, diarrhea, that kind of thing. But for about 40% of people on average, it ends up fatal. So that is like you catch
that's a lot.
It's like you get the flu and 40% of people will die. Like that's much worse odds than COVID. Like it's intense. It's because it can.
Why are they always like flu-like viruses? Like it makes me feel like what random tropical diseases have I actually had and just thought I had a cold and magically survived and not got any of the cred for having a cool disease.
Because if you think about it, flu-like symptoms are just like the symptoms. Like what? Unless you're like leaking like, I don't know, ooze out of your ears. That even is a flu-like symptom. I'm like, what? Most symptoms are kind of like flu-like symptoms until it progresses to something else.
Yeah, like name a symptom that's not
a flu-like symptom. Yeah. So, I mean, the 40% of people who end up dying from hantavirus, it's because it will sort of progress into getting into their lungs or kidneys. So they end up, their fluid fills their lungs. They end up dying that way, or they go into like kidney failure and die that way. So it's like, it's not great odds. If you get this like flu, imagine if everybody who got the flu, 40% of them died. Like it's hectic. I mean, it's very rare. Like in the United States, for example, there were only 890 cases of hantavirus across the entire period between 1993 and 2023, so a 30-year period. So because almost every single strain of it can only go from a rodent to a human, it's very difficult for it to spread. That's why this case on this ship, which we have found, the MV Hondias, it's very scary to people because the strain that they have found on the MV Hondias is the Andes strain that spreads between people.
Why is it always cruise ships? Those things are just floating petri dishes.
Floating petri dishes. I mean, look, I like a cruise ship because of my obsession with the Titanic. But I will say when I saw this ship,
a famously well-fated cruise.
I will say when I saw this ship, this Hondias ship, I was like, guys, because it's tiny. It's a Dutch expedition cruise ship. It's operated by a company called Oceanwide Expeditions, and it only takes 196 passengers. So there's only 95 cabins. It's really small. Like when I saw it, I was expecting to see like a big Carnival Diamond of the Seas style ship, but it's like quite small and it looks quite industrial, probably because it does like a lot of adventure sort of expeditions. It goes to Antarctica, so it needs to look like quite
Would it be an icebreaker?
It kind of just looks metal and like a cargo ship from the outside and very small. And so when I saw it, I was like, God, you're lucky to not get an outbreak on a ship with 5,000 people, let alone being on a tiny little one where you're in that close contact with only 195 people. But that's just, that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah. But I guess like longer odds that someone brings something onto the ship with fewer people.
Pros and cons to both. And also this is, although it looks like a hardcore crappy ship, it's actually fancy. Like it's very expensive to go on the MV Hondias. It's like because they do these quite niche like luxe unique experiences like to places like Antarctica. It may look like a small sciencey vessel, but it can cost like for one sort of small expedition up to like 22,000 euros per person. So it's like a very expensive thing to do. Generally, a lot of rich people, a lot of retirees who are doing things like wildlife enthusiasts who love bird watching. They have like penguin expeditions in Antarctica, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it kind of just goes around and around like cruise ships do. So it's not like everyone gets on the ship in one place, goes to Antarctica, goes back. It like will start where it starts in, I think it's Germany, or did I say Dutch? Dutchland,
Dutch.
the Netherlands. And then it will pick people up along the way, and then other people are also getting dropped off along the way because they got on a few weeks earlier. So much like, a train, it's picking up and dropping off people who have been on it and then people who are about to start their trips.
That sounds like a perfect style of cruise for an infectious disease to break out on.
Which is what's caused a bit of this problem. So on April 1st, here we are with the timeline. April 1st, we are now recording this on May 11, so over a month ago. The ship left a place called Ushuaia, which is the southernmost city in the world, right at the bottom of Argentina. And the plan from there was to do a multi-week trip with stops in Antarctica, the Falklands, isolated islands in the South Atlantic, and eventually ending up at Cape Verde off the west coast of Africa. There were about 150 people on board from various countries. The MV Hondias has pretty limited medical facilities on board. Yet another, not another great sign.
Well,
has a small medical room, some over-the-counter medications, a few oxygen tanks, and there's one staff doctor. So patient 0 is a 70-year-old Dutchman. And he's traveling with his 69-year-old wife. Investigators have been digging into what they were doing in the lead up to getting on the ship, and they had spent the previous 4 months on a road trip through Chile, Uruguay, and Argentina, where the Andes strain of Hantavirus is mostly found. According to the World Health Organization, before they got on the ship, they had been on a bird watching trip that included visits to several sites where the rat species that carries the Andes virus is known to live. They came back to Argentina just 4 days before getting on the cruise. And apparently Argentine investigators have been physically capturing like rodents along the road trip that they were on, like along the route to try and test them. But they are pretty sure that he would have picked it up somewhere on that trip and was already incubating the virus when he got on the ship.
What is the incubation period?
It can take anywhere up to 8 weeks for you to start showing symptoms.
Oh, no.
So you can be carrying it around for a long time, and if you have this human-to-human strain, spreading it before you even know you're unwell. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So here is the timeline from that moment. So April 1st, ship leaves Ushuaia, all good. April 6, 5 days into the trip, this 70-year-old Dutchman, he starts feeling sick. He has a fever, headache, mild diarrhea, which we know is classic stage 1 symptoms of Hantavirus, but we also know that's classic stage 1 symptoms of lots of things when you're traveling.
Or just being a kid in daycare.
Yeah, and he's 70 and he's traveling, he sees the ship's doctor and it's like he's just caught some kind of stomach flu, I don't know, whatever. Like you said, cruises are petri dishes, shit goes around. Just 5 days later, 5 days after getting sick, on April 11th, he's dead. He dies in his cabin. The doctor on board just thinks it's natural causes. He got sick. He's 70 years old. Nobody else seems sick. There's no reason to think it's anything but something's happened and he's unfortunately died.
70's not that old though.
I know,
just
it's
be dying
not.
from like a bit of a, normal, quote unquote, normal virus.
So April 12th, the next day, the captain makes an announcement to passengers explaining that a passenger has died. It's not unusual for passengers to die on cruises, particularly because old people like going on cruises. So they have protocol for what to do when this happens, and it's not unusual. So the captain tells the passengers that this man has sadly died. He tells them it was of natural causes. He says the doctor has confirmed the man was not infectious. And we know all this because one of the passengers was filming that announcement, so it's on video.
Wow, I have looked everywhere.
Oh, I'll send you the link. I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah.
I love when shit unfolds on a cruise ship and we get all of the perspectives. But then I was like, they're old, so maybe that's why we're not getting.
There's a travel blogger on there who who was documenting heaps of stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, my Google abilities.
Link in
must
show
be
notes. Link in
great,
show
great,
notes.
great.
So, yeah, that was filmed. An Irish passenger called Anne Lane later quoted in an interview with the Irish Times, "The real shock was when the first people died because we just didn't know what it was. We initially thought this man may have just died in his cabin, perhaps suddenly. He was old. Nobody really expected anything else to happen." So at first, all the passengers just accepted how sad, like this man died. The man's body had to stay on the ship for a few days because they had to wait for a suitable place to, like, I don't know, drop it off, offload it. Yeah, what is offload it? The next stop they had was a tiny little island called Tristan da Cunha.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been there?
No. But I've seen heaps about that island on TikTok because it's the furthest populated island or something. And there's this woman who lives there who shoots heaps of content, and it stresses me out so hard.
It's the most, like, remote, still inhabited island, apparently. I think that's the correct thing. So it's got 220 people living on it. It's basically like, it's described as just like a rock in the middle of the ocean. There's no airstrip or anything, ship only access. So they can't really leave him there because, like,
No.
you know. So the plan is to wait until they reach St. Helena, which is a bigger British island with proper facilities. So his body has to stay on board. His wife is still on board also. And everyone is just still operating under the assumption that it was a sudden but natural death, and they'll be like, his wife will be disembarking with his body when they get to St. Helena. So the next couple of days, April 13 to 15, the ship stops at the tiny little Tristan da Cunha island. 6 people who had been dropped off there, like, for their own holiday, join the cruise when it stops at that island. Mm-hmm. And a couple people also get off at that island to stay there for a holiday.
No.
So 9 days later, on April 24, the ship finally reaches St. Helena. They offload the dead man's body, which is like, it's been almost 2 weeks. But like I said, these ships are built for people dying on board. They have all cruise ships have a morgue. Yeah. Also at St. Helena, 30 passengers disembark because their trip's over. So they disembark there to fly home because there's an airport there. Those 30 people fly to 12 different countries before anybody realizes anything's happening. April 25, the man's widow is taken on a KLM flight from Johannesburg to Amsterdam. And at this point, she has become so unwell, she's traveling in a wheelchair, and they actually put her on the plane. She's on there for 45 minutes, and they realize she's too sick to fly, so they take her off the plane. They take her directly to hospital, and she dies in hospital in Johannesburg the next day.
Oh, no.
Anne Lane, the woman I mentioned before who talked to the Irish Times, said she seemed to be okay while she was on the ship before she got off at St. Helena. So that was an awful shock to hear both of them had died, because it was quite a while. It was 2 weeks before she got off with her husband's body, and she didn't seem sick until she'd got off the ship after 2 weeks. So that is like a long time for her to just not be showing any symptoms.
And I wonder how, if the two of them were always together, how there was that sort of 2-week gap in when they actually got it. Like, man.
So April 27, a couple days after that woman dies in hospital, back on the ship, a British passenger is now sick. He is evacuated to an island nearby and then sent to South Africa and put in intensive care. A few days later, on May 2nd, so we're getting into like just a couple weeks ago, a German woman suddenly dies on board. Her body is the one that's still on the ship as of recording right now. The same day that German woman dies, the British man who had been evacuated to South African intensive care tests positive for Hantavirus. So that's the first sort of official identification of the virus in this whole outbreak. So it's May 2nd. The first man died on April 11th. So it's taken them this long to even just for the word Hantavirus to even enter the equation.
Yeah.
And at this point, 3 people are dead, and they're only just figuring it out. May 4th, a couple days later, the ship tries to dock in Cape Verde, where it was meant to finish the trip. But by this point, word is out in the press. They have to be telling people what's going on. And Cape Verde's like, no, thank you. You cannot come here.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving, please. And so the MV Hondias kind of sits offshore. They're not sure what to do. They need to figure out where they can go. And this is the day that also they have done an autopsy on the Dutch wife of the man who initially died, and she has now tested positive for Hantavirus as well posthumously. On May 6, a couple days after Cape Verde was like, sorry, no, leave us alone, and they're sitting in the middle of the ocean. May 6, it's officially confirmed by gene sequencing that what is going on is the Andes strain of the Hantavirus, and this is the one that can be spread between humans. And so it's taken almost a month for them to be like, uh-oh, this is bad. And May 6 is also the day that the ship's doctor falls sick and has to be evacuated. And there is a passenger on board who happens to be a doctor, and this passenger takes over and becomes the doctor of the ship. And I was wondering what life on the ship was like while this was happening, because I was assuming until they realized it was something
contagious.
Yeah, I guess probably when about the second person died or something, they were like, uh-oh. But and when it was just that guy, it would have been like, okay, party as usual. So apparently once they know they're dealing with something contagious, every passenger is forced to quarantine in their cabin. They're not allowed to mingle with each other. No one's allowed to come out. The crew is apparently keeping everyone informed. Apparently the atmosphere is quite calm. Anne Lane, that woman I quoted before, she said, we've had confidence in Ocean Wide, everyone on the ship. The performance was impeccable. She also praised the ship's doctor, specifically saying before he got sick, he was just treating everybody day and night. He was really dedicated to it. And then she said of her own sort of state, how she was doing, she said, look, we can't really do anything at the moment, so it's a case of hang in there and the company will sort everything out. That was about a week ago when they were sort of all still on the ship. Other passengers, though, are really pissed off. So
I want to hear from those ones.
There's one guy who got off the ship in St. Helena, one of the people who got off at St. Helena on April 24, and he told the BBC, I'm very unhappy because they did not take the right precautions for the first couple of weeks. They may not have known. I can't fully blame them, but they should have at least thought of the possibility of a contagious disease. He's the one who filmed the captain's announcement that someone had died of natural causes. He also said, this is just a funny detail, they asked him, so are you trying to isolate after you got off the ship? And he was like, yes, totally. But then it was reported that he attended a packed wedding a day after disembarking.
But wait, he didn't know then, did he?
Did he know that? I think
no, because they didn't realise until early May, right? That's what it was.
That's true. That's so fair to him. Fair, yeah. Fair to that.
But
guy.
Imagine just sitting around knowing you were possibly a ticking time bomb.
Yeah,
is there anything they could, can they take
die.
Antivirals or something?
I mean, from what I've seen, not really. It's if it gets to a certain stage, there isn't really much to be done. So that's what's quite scary about it. Yeah. There's been the US travel blogger called Jake Rosmarin. He's been posting a lot of stuff to TikTok. He posted a video where he was crying, kind of saying, we're seeing all the news, we're seeing that everybody's just kind of joking about some cruise outbreak or a new COVID or blah, blah, blah. And he was like, we're not just headlines. We're people with families, with lives, with people waiting for us at home. There is a lot of uncertainty, and that is the hardest part. So that was the first sort of thing that someone posted from the ship, where it was like they don't really know what's happening. They're locked in their rooms and they're freaking out.
Yeah, because I thought the guy that I found was called Jake, so maybe it was him. But
maybe it was him.
All he had was some penguin photos and then just a text thing saying everything is fine. We're all fine. And I was like, this is weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what, like, he has sort of spoken negatively about it. So did that other Turkish guy. But mostly a lot of the quotes and interviews I read were from people going, look, they were doing the best they could. Like, it was a really shitty situation for everyone involved, including them. So, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
So that brings us to this week. The ship eventually sailed 3 days from Cape Verde towards the Canary Islands, which is, I guess, the Spanish government, and they didn't want to let them dock at a place called Tenerife. They were like, nope, sorry, do not want. The president of the Canary Islands was just like, we cannot allow the Hondias to enter the Canaries. No, thank you. But it was just kind of a situation in which the World Health Organization and a bunch of higher ups were like, this is a really messed up situation. We can't leave these people on this ship. If they stay on it, they're probably all going to end up getting it. We need to do something. We need to evacuate them. We know how to do it safely. Please just let us do it safely. So Spain eventually agrees to let the MV Mondias dock, but they had rules. So it was literally yesterday, as of recording today, the ship was allowed to dock at Tenerife at 5:30 in the morning, but passengers, as part of the agreement, were not allowed to set foot on Spanish soil. So they were ferried in small speedboats from the ship. They were like taken straight to the airport, which I'm assuming like, I don't know how on the island, but it was like they got them from they ferried them from the speedboat, got them close to the airport, got them into vehicles, drove them directly to evacuation planes. So they were just never
But where
never
are those
touched
planes
Spain.
going to be allowed to land?
So most countries around the world had different ways of wanting to do it. Yesterday alone, 7 flights carried 94 passengers to 6 European countries and to Canada. There's also people going to the US. There's also people coming to Australia. So the French are holding it was mostly all chartered flights by the relevant countries' governments, private chartered flights, usually like military flights. The French are holding their citizens in hospital for 72 hours, then forcing them to quarantine at home for 45 days. The UK is doing that as well. Canadians are making their citizens do 21 days in self-isolation. The US had originally planned to fly their passengers to a quarantine unit at an Air Force base in Nebraska and get them to quarantine there. But on May 9th, a couple of days ago, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, said, actually, we're just not going to get them to quarantine. And so I'm trying to look for an update on that. But as of what I've last found, the US was kind of like, they'll just, we trust them to stay home. And if they get sick, they can tell us. There were 4 Australians and 1 permanent Australian resident on the ship, so 5 Australians. They were some of the last to be evacuated from the ship. Our government chartered a flight to take them to Perth. When they got to Perth, they were transported to a hospital's biocontainment unit for assessment. And then they were going to be sent into strict quarantine with plans involving facilities, I guess, where they live, so New South Wales and apparently Queensland.
Like those COVID hotel type situations?
I guess. Yeah, it just says quarantine facilities like organised with the relevant state government, which it says here is New South Wales and Queensland. And then those few people who got off the ship at the tiny little Tristan da Cunha, one of them is now suspected of having Hantavirus, very sick. Apparently,
wiped out the whole island.
Yeah, I know. There's only 220 people on this tiny little island. The island does not have facilities to help anyone who's that sick. They went through the entire medical oxygen reserve that they have to help this man. So yesterday, on May 10th, 6 paratroopers and medical staff from the British Army had to parachute out of an RAF plane onto this tiny island to deliver medical supplies to help this guy. And if I lived on the island, would be like, and to take him away.
Yeah, please. Just swoop down, pick him up like a big eagle and just keep on flying. I got to look up that chick that lives there who always posts videos on TikTok.
She'd be posting about it.
Going off. Yeah.
So, I mean, the main question I wanted to answer was like, is this the next COVID? Like, if it can spread from person to person, they seem to have nipped it in the bud when they finally figured out what it was. The people who have been sent home to their countries are being forced to quarantine. You know, apparently it can only be transmitted via close personal contact, which is why the chief of the World Health Organization has said the risk of widespread transmission is low. The CDC in America classified this outbreak as level 3, which is actually the lowest level on their scale, which is why they decided they didn't have to send the American citizens who'd been on the ship to a facility in Nebraska.
Just at least do the bare minimum though, guys.
I know, like just do it just in case.
Just to be safe.
An official spokesman for the World Health Organization explained that for the Andes strain of the Hantavirus to spread, you need really close sustained contact. In her words, quote, "We're not talking about casual contact from very far away from one another." So, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, the wife of the husband got it from him, obviously, because they'd be in close personal contact.
The 2-week gap gives me kind of the 2-week gap between the time that he was symptomatic and then she became symptomatic kind of gives me some sort of hope that it must have taken a while for her to actually contract it from him.
But also maybe not, because it takes up to 8 weeks for symptoms to show. She might have got it at the same time as him and just didn't even.
Oh, and just taken longer to show symptoms. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, damn it. But it's not like, that in COVID when they were kept showing footage of people like walking past each other in a shopping centre and they were like, this is the moment that they caught COVID from them.
I mean, but I kept thinking like close person. I couldn't find any verification of what like close sustained contact means, but
the cruise swinging community is very concerned.
Well, I mean, these people got it on the ship, so who knows? Like the doctor obviously was treating sick passengers up close, but how any other passengers got it means, how standing next to each other in the dinner line. Like I'm not even sure, but obviously it was enough to like. You don't have to be kissing someone. You don't have to be someone's wife. Like other passengers not related to this guy caught it. And
I wonder if it's also that enclosed environment as well.
That's what I mean, like the cabins and because this ship is very enclosed because it goes to Antarctica and stuff. And also there was an Andes strain of the hantavirus that did real damage back in 2018 in Argentina. There was an outbreak that started at a single party. There was one sick person with the Andes strain of hantavirus at that party, and by the time they were done tracing it, 34 people at the party had got hantavirus and 11 of them died.
Ooh.
And that's just being at a party.
Yeah.
So that's close enough contact for 34 of them to get it in one night at one party, and 11 of them died.
Yeah.
So that was only in 2018. So, I mean, this outbreak of it is the largest hantavirus sort of situation in recent memory, and like the way it's spread across multiple continents because of like this cruise, this is the only time this has happened this way. I mean, you get one guy going on a cruise ship in Argentina and within 5 weeks you have suspected cases like on a remote island in the South Atlantic, in Spanish hospitals, in Dutch hospitals, in German hospitals, in Swiss hospitals, British hospitals, American hospitals, now Australian hospitals. And then they're now worried also about the flight attendant on the flight that was carrying the widower before they pulled her off the flight because she started to get sick too.
Yeah.
So it's just
and what about
like
other passengers.
yeah. So the biggest unknown right now is whether anyone else on that flight has been exposed and whether they're going to develop symptoms in the next few weeks. So that's the only sort of loose thread where they're trying to track down anyone who was sitting on that flight that woman had been put on before she got taken off before takeoff, and they need to go and find them and get them to quarantine because, like I said, the incubation period can be anywhere up to 8 weeks. So you won't know if they're showing symptoms until...
They're not watching the news. I would track myself down.
Right?
I'd be like, was it me? Was it me? Was I there? I mean, I'm concerned maybe I was there, even though, no, I have not been overseas for a couple of years. But I'm like, I should check.
And I mean, we've all seen the movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman, and it's just like one person to one person. Or the movie, whatchamacallit? Is it called Pandemic?
Isn't it?
The one,
no, that's the game.
The one
with Kate Winslet.
Gwyneth Paltrow's like,
yeah.
yeah.
I think it's the same one.
Yeah, but it's not called Pandemic. What is it called? Can't even remember. Guys, 13, 22, 52, 60. What's that movie called? Yeah. Anyway,
it's going to annoy me.
It's not hard for it to maybe one of those people on that KLM flight has it. They've already spread it to someone. That person's already gone on a flight to Australia, and that person's going to be at Woolworths in Marrickville tonight while I'm there, and bing, bang, boom, there you go. You know what I mean? It's like...
That's why I'm not going to be recording in person with you.
Yeah, like it's just, I don't know. I'm not trying to like fearmonger or anything, but I'm just saying that's how this stuff goes. That's how no one ever wants an outbreak
open
to
our
happen.
brains and feast on the goo inside.
Yes.
Yes, I would, Rosie.
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, that's the main ones they're trying to track at anybody who are on that plane. Meanwhile, the MV Hondias itself is leaving Tenerife today, as of recording today, Monday. The body of the German woman is still on board, along with one guest who was traveling with her, although she right now is asymptomatic. But they both live in Rotterdam, where the ship is going back to finally be disinfected. So they're just staying on the ship to go back there with the ship. They will get off, well, I was going to say, and they will go into quarantine. One of them has died.
Aww.
The one who's still alive will go into quarantine. And then the entire ship is going to be like completely disinfected. But I guess the main thing in the news will, you know, over the coming days, weeks, whatever, now that all the passengers have finally been evacuated off the ship, will just be like whether they've dropped any balls. And it's like... all those passengers, tick, 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 am I going to get it? And will I be one of the 40% who die? But then everyone else kind of like, did something fall through the cracks?
Yeah.
And it's going to spread. But the World Health Organization does say no need for alarm. But that's what they always
say. When do they ever say alarm? There is need for alarm.
Yeah. Or when they do,
we're already
we
alarmed.
always ignore them. Yeah.
So I guess there's no way to test someone before they have symptoms then?
Yeah, I guess not. Like, that's such a good point. I don't know. Like,
there mustn't be, or they would be testing
They'd be
everywhere.
testing ASAP.
Yeah.
I guess maybe
or it could be one of those viruses
or...
where the tests are really complicated and expensive or something. But
yeah.
I think they'd at least test that woman that is the friend of the German lady. Who's
right. I mean, they're saying she's asymptomatic, but I mean, it said incubation can be anywhere from 1 week to 8 weeks. So I guess that means there might be testing, but there might be certain people for whom it doesn't show up for a while, or I don't even know how it works. But I mean, I'm assuming the people who do know and understand this stuff are like, you're not allowed out until the time periods of things have passed. No?
Yeah, and we know that people are very obedient with things like that.
No, and we know that the US is like, we trust you, go home.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that is just the gist of, you know, what the hell is going on with this Hantavirus outbreak. I just thought whenever there's something newsy that breaks through, even to me, I'm like, if even I'm wondering what's going on with that, then surely the listeners are too.
The listeners need to know. And if they didn't know, well, this is where they get their news.
Now they know.
So now they know.
So you are welcome. A public service from me. Also, You know I'm not a journalist, so don't quote me on any of this, but I did my best. I did my best. This is just the gist. Just the gist.
Under no regulating bodies.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. And see you Thursday. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Just the Gist, a Just the Network production. Executive produced and hosted by me, Rosie Waterland. Produced and edited by James Joseph with additional production support from JTG team Kate Lever and Hayley Stavely and Acast legends Guy Scott Wilson and Simon McDermott. Looking for breaking news? It drops on the Just the Gist Patreon every Tuesday, along with a whole lot of other bonus audio, video, and behind-the-scenes content, which you can access for just $1, $1 a week by clicking the link in the show notes or searching Just the Gist Podcast on Patreon. Follow Just the Gist on Instagram and TikTok at Just the Gist Podcast, and watch the video version of every episode on our YouTube channel, also at, funnily enough, Just the Gist Podcast. Follow Rosie, that's me, in all of the places at Rosie Waterland. Want to give us a suggestion? Tell Rosie to stop singing so much? Email us at hello@justthegist.com.au. Thank you, as always, for listening. Now go say something impressive at a dinner party. Bye.